Pisces, the 12th sign of the zodiac, is often called the most enigmatic of them all. They stand at the very end of the astrological wheel, as if holding within themselves the memories, experiences, and emotions of every sign that came before them. To truly understand Pisces is almost impossible, because they are like water slipping through your fingers. You can sense them, feel them, but never fully capture their essence. And maybe that's exactly what makes them so fascinating. Pisces live in two worlds at once: the visible and the invisible. On the surface, they may appear gentle, quiet, even fragile. But beneath that calm exterior lies an ocean. Deep, powerful, unpredictable. They sense what others overlook. They absorb emotions like a sponge. They can feel your sadness before you even realize it yourself, and sometimes they can carry your pain without ever telling you. It is both their greatest gift and their greatest burden. What makes Pisces truly mysterious is that they are ruled not only by logic or instincts, but by something higher: intuition, dreams, and spiritual energy. They often seem to know without explanation. Their insight can feel almost supernatural. And because they are so attuned to the currents of emotion and the unseen world, they are often misunderstood by those who live only by reason. Many people mistake their silence for weakness, their sensitivity for fragility, and their empathy for naivety. Yet, the truth is, Pisces hold an inner strength that is quiet but unshakable. They are warriors of the soul, not of the sword. But why do Pisces remain so hard to define? Perhaps it is because they are always in motion like water. They can shift from one role to another, adapt to whoever they are with, mirror the feelings of those around them. One moment, they are a dreamer lost in imagination. The next, they are a healer, offering comfort to a friend. And then, in solitude, they dive deep into their own inner oceans, where few can follow. This constant change makes them impossible to pin down. Just when you think you know a Pisces, they reveal another layer of mystery. Pisces also carry the paradox of being both incredibly connected to the world and yet longing to escape from it. They feel everything, too much sometimes. The noise of reality, the chaos of emotions, the harshness of life can overwhelm them. And so they retreat into silence, into dreams, into music, into art. There they find refuge. There they turn their emotions into beauty. Many of the greatest poets, musicians, and visionaries were born under this sign, because Pisces know how to transform suffering into creation, how to turn tears into melodies, and how to make the invisible visible. Another secret of Pisces lies in love. When they love, they don't just give their heart, they give their soul. Their love is unconditional, infinite, timeless. It can be overwhelming, even frightening to those who are not ready for such depth. Because Pisces love without walls, without calculation, without conditions. They see the soul of another, not just the face. But this same gift can also wound them deeply, because when their love is not returned or not valued, it feels like drowning in an endless sea of pain. Yet, even then, Pisces rarely hate. They forgive, they understand, they let go, but never without scars. Spiritually, Pisces are often seen as the old souls of the zodiac. They carry wisdom that feels ancient, as if they have walked through many lifetimes before this one. They are dreamers, yes, but also mystics. They are connected to something beyond this world, whether you call it the universe, God, or simply the great unknown. That's why being around a Pisces often feels different. You sense not just a person, but a soul that has seen more than it can ever say. In this series, we will dive into the ocean of Pisces. We will explore why they feel more than they speak, why silence is their language, and why they are so often misunderstood. We will talk about their hidden strengths, their struggles, their love, and their purpose as the final sign of the zodiac. Pisces are not here to conquer or to dominate. They are here to connect, to heal, to remind us of the unseen truths of life. They are the mirror of humanity, reflecting back not only who we are, but who we could be. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all, that through Pisces, we can glimpse the vastness of the soul itself. So prepare yourself for a journey, not into the stars above, but into the waters within. Because to understand Pisces is to understand the depths of emotion, the power of intuition, and the beauty of the human spirit. Part 1. The silent strength of Pisces. Silence has always been misunderstood. In a world that celebrates loudness, speed, and constant action, silence is often mistaken for weakness, passivity, or uncertainty. Yet for Pisces, silence is not emptiness, it is power. Their silence is not the absence of thought, but the presence of depth. It is not about being afraid to speak, but about choosing to feel before they speak. And this is what makes Pisces unlike any other sign. When a Pisces is silent, it is rarely because they have nothing to say. It is because they are listening, not just to words but to what lies beneath them. They hear tone, pauses, emotions, and even the things left unsaid. Their silence allows them to absorb everything around them, like water that reflects the sky but also hides a vast unseen world beneath. This ability to sense the invisible currents of emotion is one of their greatest strengths. But to others, this silence can feel confusing. People may think Pisces are too shy, too fragile, or too passive. They may mistake their stillness for indecision. Yet, what is really happening is far more powerful. Pisces are processing, observing, and connecting dots that others don't even notice exist. They are not rushing to react because they see more than the surface. They understand that words are cheap, but energy never lies. The strength of Pisces lies in what cannot be measured. They do not fight battles with aggression or dominance, but with intuition, patience, and empathy. Imagine an ocean, calm on the surface, yet with unstoppable tides beneath. That is Pisces. They may not roar like fire or stand unshakable like earth, but they flow. And water, though soft, can carve valleys, shape stones, and even wear down mountains. Pisces also know that silence protects them. Their sensitivity makes them vulnerable to noise, to harshness, to cruelty. By choosing silence, they create space, a sacred inner world where they can breathe, reflect, and recharge. They don't need to prove their worth by constant action or words. Their power is not in being louder than others, but in knowing when to step back, when to listen, when to wait for the right moment. This is why many Pisces often seem mysterious. People around them may wonder, what are they thinking? Why don't they speak? Why do they seem so far away, even when they are right here? The truth is, Pisces are always both here and elsewhere. Their silence is a doorway to their inner ocean, a world too vast to fully explain. And in that ocean, they carry both their strength and their struggles. Yet, the silent strength of Pisces is not only about retreat. It is also about presence. When a Pisces listens to you, they are truly listening. When they sit in silence with you, you feel understood in ways no words could express. Their silence becomes a healing force, a mirror that reflects your soul back to you. This is why being with Pisces can feel so comforting, so safe. They do not rush to judge or interrupt. They hold space for you. And in that space you find clarity. But silence can also be their greatest test. Because the world often does not value silence, Pisces may doubt themselves. They may think, maybe I should talk more, push harder, fight louder. They may feel pressure to abandon their natural flow and adopt the armor of fire or the rigidity of earth. Yet every time they try to be something they are not, they lose themselves. Their true strength lies in embracing what others do not understand. That silence is not weakness but wisdom. Consider how many truths are spoken not with words, but with looks, with gestures, with energy. Pisces live in this space between the spoken and the unspoken. They understand that silence can comfort, but it can also challenge. Silence can be forgiveness, or it can be distance. Silence can protect love, or it can signal the end of it. To master silence is to master communication beyond language. And Pisces are natural masters of this art. Their challenge is to remember that silence does not mean submission. That saying nothing is not the same as agreeing. That listening deeply does not mean tolerating what hurts them. The silent strength of Pisces becomes unshakable when they learn to pair their quiet wisdom with clear boundaries. When they understand that they can choose when to speak and when not to, and that both choices carry power. So, the first great secret of Pisces is this: their silence is not emptiness, but fullness. It is not weakness, but depth. It is not invisibility, but presence. The world may never fully understand it, but those who do will see what makes Pisces truly strong. They are not the storm that shouts, but the tide that shapes the shore, silently, persistently, eternally. Part 2. Wounds without words. Not all wounds are visible. Some leave no scars on the skin but carve deep marks on the soul. For Pisces, pain is rarely shouted, rarely displayed in anger, rarely revealed in open confrontation. Instead, their pain moves quietly, like a shadow in deep water, like a current beneath the surface. They carry it in silence, often behind a soft smile, often without anyone around them realizing how much they are hurting. Pisces are natural healers, but they are also natural absorbers. They feel the weight of their own struggles and, at the same time, the pain of others. And because of this, they often learn early in life to hide their suffering. They may think, if I show my wounds, I will burden others. If I express my sadness, I will make someone uncomfortable. If I cry, they will call me weak. So instead of speaking, they swallow their feelings. Instead of asking for help, they retreat into their inner ocean. This is the paradox of Pisces. They are incredibly sensitive, yet incredibly good at hiding it. People around them may believe they are calm, peaceful, unshaken. They may even call them strong. But inside, Pisces may be breaking quietly, struggling with emotions too overwhelming to put into words. Their silence becomes both a shield and a prison. Why do Pisces choose silence over expression? Part of it is fear. Fear of being misunderstood, dismissed, or judged. Another part is compassion. They don't want to add their pain to the world's already heavy weight. And another part is simply the nature of their emotions. So vast, so fluid, so complex, that no words ever seem big enough to contain them. How can you explain an ocean with just a sentence? How can you reduce a tidal wave of feeling into a neat explanation? So Pisces carry their wounds quietly. They smile when their heart is heavy. They comfort others while their own soul aches. They listen to everyone else's problems but rarely share their own. To the world, they may look like dreamers, helpers, romantics. But inside, they may be carrying storms that no one sees. This hidden suffering is both their gift and their danger. It is a gift because it gives Pisces empathy. They know what it means to hurt in silence, and so they can recognize silent pain in others. They can sit with someone's grief without needing explanations. They can understand a broken heart without words. But it is also a danger, because too much unspoken pain can drown them. Silence can heal, but silence can also suffocate. The tragedy is that many Pisces don't allow themselves to cry out until it's too late. They may endure toxic relationships, unfair treatment, or inner struggles far longer than they should. They may tell themselves, "It's not so bad. I can handle it. I don't want to cause trouble." And all the while, the wound grows deeper, the silence grows heavier, the ocean inside becomes stormier. Yet even in this quiet suffering, there is strength. Pisces know how to survive storms that would break others. They know how to endure, how to keep moving, how to find beauty even in sorrow. And their challenge, their path to growth, is to learn that sharing their wounds does not make them weaker. Speaking their pain does not make them a burden. Asking for help is not selfish. It is human. When Pisces begin to express even a little of what they feel, the transformation is powerful. Suddenly, their pain is no longer a silent shadow. It becomes a bridge of connection, honesty, and vulnerability. Their silent wounds turn into stories, and their stories heal not only themselves, but also others. Because when Pisces speak their pain, others recognize their own reflection in it. And healing begins on both sides. So, the secret of Pisces' wounds is this: they are quiet, but they are real. They are invisible, but they shape everything about who Pisces are. Behind every gentle smile, behind every comforting presence, there may be scars that no one sees. And yet, these hidden wounds give Pisces their depth, their compassion, and their quiet wisdom. Pisces teach us that not all pain needs to be screamed, that silence itself can be a kind of language. But they also remind us that even the gentlest souls deserve to be heard. Their challenge is to remember, your wounds do not make you a burden. Your silence does not have to last forever. You are allowed to speak, to cry, to be vulnerable. And in that moment, you may discover that the world is more ready to hold you than you ever imagined. Part 3. I feel you even in silence. There are people who need words to understand others. They need explanations, clear expressions, logical sentences. But Pisces are not among them. Pisces feel you before you speak. They read you before you explain. They sense you before you decide to show yourself. It is not magic, though it often feels like it. It is the gift of deep empathy, of emotional intuition, of being tuned to frequencies most people don't even notice. Where others hear only silence, Pisces hear everything. The tone of your breath, the hesitation in your voice, the shift in your energy. They see the sadness hidden behind your smile, the anger hiding in your politeness, the loneliness behind your "I'm fine." To be with a Pisces is to be seen in ways you may not even see yourself. You may think you are hiding, but Pisces feels it. You may think you are unreadable, but Pisces has already picked up on the truth beneath the mask. It is both comforting and frightening. Comforting because you don't need to explain yourself, and frightening because there is nowhere to hide. This silent understanding is one of the deepest strengths of Pisces. They don't just listen with their ears, they listen with their whole being. They don't just observe your words, they absorb your energy. And that means they can love you in a way few others can, not for the image you project but for the truth you carry inside. For Pisces, silence is not emptiness. Silence is full of meaning. They know how to sit with you in quiet and still feel connected. They know how to share presence without performance. They know that sometimes the deepest conversations happen without words at all. A glance, a touch, a shared pause. These moments can say more than hours of talking. But this gift comes with a challenge. Because Pisces feel so much, they sometimes confuse what is theirs with what is yours. They may carry your emotions as if they are their own. They may suffer because you suffer even when you never ask them to. They may drown in feelings that don't belong to them, simply because they cannot help but absorb. This is why Pisces often need solitude. Not because they don't care, not because they don't love, but because silence is their way of separating their soul from everyone else's. They need time to breathe their own air, to feel their own emotions, to remember where they end and others begin. Without this, the gift of silent understanding becomes too heavy, too overwhelming. Still, for those who are loved by Pisces, this gift is a miracle. Imagine being with someone who understands you even when you cannot find words. Imagine being held by someone who feels your sadness before you admit it to yourself. Imagine being loved by someone who accepts even the hidden parts of you, the parts you try to hide from the world. That is what Pisces offers, a love that sees beyond the surface, a connection that survives even in silence. And perhaps, this is why so many people are drawn to Pisces without even knowing why. They feel seen. They feel safe. They feel like they can be their true selves without needing to explain, without needing to perform. And in a world where most people are starving to be understood, Pisces become a kind of oasis, a place of quiet recognition, a place where your soul can finally rest. So when we say, Pisces feels you, even in silence, it is not poetry, it is truth. Their silence is not absence. It is presence. Their quiet is not distance. It is depth. And if you are lucky enough to have a Pisces in your life, you will know what it means to be understood without words, to be loved without conditions, to be felt without ever needing to explain. Because for Pisces, silence is never empty. Silence is the language of the soul. Part 4. The Ocean Within. To understand Pisces, you cannot stay on the surface. The surface is for casual meetings, polite conversations, social masks. But Pisces are not creatures of the surface. They belong to the depths. Inside them is an ocean vast and infinite, carrying both beauty and storms. When you look into the eyes of a Pisces, you may sense it, a depth that has no bottom. They may smile softly, they may seem calm, but behind that calm lies a universe of feelings, thoughts, memories, and dreams. Pisces are never just fine. They are oceans disguised as rivers, carrying tides you cannot always see. This is why life with Pisces is never shallow. To love them, to truly know them, is to dive. And diving is not always easy. The ocean is not always gentle. Sometimes it is still, shining, filled with wonder. Sometimes it is stormy, dark, and overwhelming. Pisces live with waves inside them, and they cannot always control the storms. But this depth is their essence. It is what makes them so unique among the zodiac. Where others live in straight lines and clear answers, Pisces live in currents and layers. They can see the world from many angles at once. They can hold contradictions without fear. They can be both strong and fragile, joyful and melancholic, full of hope and full of longing, all at the same time. For Pisces, emotions are not something to be avoided. They are something to be lived. A Pisces will feel sadness fully, as if their heart is made of water absorbing every tear. But they will also feel joy with the same intensity, glowing with light that spills into everyone around them. They don't experience life halfway. They are all in always. This is why Pisces often feel misunderstood. The world likes clarity, labels, quick answers. But Pisces cannot flatten themselves into one label. They are never just one thing. And when people demand simplicity, Pisces often retreat into themselves, back into their inner ocean, where they don't have to explain. Inside that ocean live not only emotions but also dreams. Pisces are visionaries, dreamers, artists. They can see beauty where others see nothing. They can imagine futures, worlds, and possibilities that others cannot. Their creativity is born from the waves within them, the constant movement of feelings that becomes music, painting, poetry, healing. But the same ocean that inspires can also overwhelm. Sometimes Pisces drown in their own depth. They feel too much, care too much, dream too much. They may lose the shore, forget their direction, or dissolve into other people's expectations. This is their struggle, to learn how to swim in their own waters, without losing themselves to the tides. For Pisces, strength does not mean building walls. It means learning to navigate their own ocean, to accept their storms without fear, to trust their currents, to know that their depth is not a curse, but a gift. If you love a Pisces, understand this. You will never fully map their ocean. You cannot control it, you cannot predict it. But you can sail with them. You can dive with them. You can learn to trust their tides. And if you do, you will discover treasures hidden beneath the surface. Treasures that no shallow soul could ever give you. Because in the end, Pisces are not meant to live on the surface. They are the ocean itself. And those who are brave enough to enter their depths will find a kind of truth, beauty, and love that can only be found beneath the waves. Part 5. Love without conditions and without words. Love for Pisces is not an act, it is their natural state of being. If you ask a Pisces what love means, they will rarely answer with definitions. They will not talk about rules, boundaries, or promises. Instead, they will look at you with those ocean-like eyes that seem to hold galaxies within them, and in that silence, you will understand. For Pisces, love is everything. When Pisces loves, they do not do it halfway. There are no conditions in their affection. No, I will love you if, or I will stay with you as long as. They simply give. They pour themselves out like a river flowing into the sea. And that is why love with Pisces feels different, almost unearthly. You sense that you are not just cared for but embraced by something eternal, something larger than the two of you. This unconditional nature of their love can feel overwhelming. Pisces will often forgive flaws that others would never tolerate. They will stand by you in your worst moments, holding your hand even when you try to push them away. To them, love is not about convenience or pleasure. It is about connection, soul to soul. And they believe that such a connection is sacred. But here lies the paradox. Because they love so purely, Pisces often find themselves hurt. They fall in love with potential, with the hidden light inside a person. They see not only who you are but who you could be. And they love that vision just as strongly. Many times, the world does not meet their expectations. People betray, disappoint, or fail to live up to the image Pisces held in their hearts. And yet, instead of turning bitter, Pisces simply withdraw deeper into their silent ocean, still carrying love within them. This silence is important. Unlike other signs, Pisces do not need words to express their love. They will show it in small, delicate gestures. Remembering your favorite song, staying awake just to hear you breathe, creating a space where you feel safe. Their love is the kind you feel more than you hear. It is an atmosphere, a quiet field of energy that surrounds you whenever they are near. When you are loved by a Pisces, you may not always notice it in declarations, but you will feel it in the way your soul rests when you are with them. Their presence itself is love. And yet, unconditional love comes with a challenge. Sometimes, Pisces give so much that they lose themselves. They sacrifice their needs, their dreams, even their identity, just to keep the flame of love alive. A strong Pisces, however, learns a different lesson. That true unconditional love also includes themselves. That to love another without limits does not mean to destroy oneself in the process. When Pisces discovers this balance, to love fully, but also to honor their own soul, their love becomes unstoppable. It heals, inspires, and transforms everyone it touches. Because in the end, Pisces remind us of the greatest truth. Love does not need conditions, explanations, or even words. Love simply is. Part 6. Words get in the way of feeling. Pisces live in a world where emotions flow like tides, where silence speaks louder than any phrase. For them, words are clumsy tools, blunt instruments trying to capture something vast, subtle, and infinite. Feelings cannot be placed into neat sentences. And so, Pisces often prefer silence. They feel that the moment they try to explain what is in their hearts, the truth begins to fade. Imagine trying to describe the ocean with a handful of sand. That is what words feel like to Pisces. They know that the real depth of what they feel cannot be contained in language. Love, sorrow, intuition, dreams. All of it belongs to a realm beyond speech. To speak of it is to risk reducing it, losing its purity. This is why Pisces may appear distant, or even secretive. They are not hiding anything. They are simply protecting the sacredness of what they feel. To them, emotions are living things, fragile and easily wounded by the harshness of words. Silence, on the other hand, preserves their integrity. When you sit with a Pisces, you may notice how comfortable they are with quiet. Where others rush to fill the air with chatter, Pisces let silence breathe. They know that between two souls, sometimes no words are necessary. A glance, a shared moment, or even a sigh can carry more truth than 1,000 explanations. This does not mean Pisces cannot communicate. In fact, they are often artists of communication, but they prefer other mediums. Music, poetry, painting, dance. These are their languages. In art, they find the freedom to express the inexpressible. Through symbols, metaphors, and melodies, they reveal what words alone cannot. That is why so many Pisces are drawn to creative paths. Their souls demand a way to speak that is not confined by grammar. But their reluctance to rely on words also creates challenges. In relationships, others may misinterpret Pisces' silence as indifference or detachment. People may long for verbal assurances, while Pisces quietly believe their love is obvious. This gap can lead to misunderstandings. where the depth of their devotion goes unnoticed simply because it was never spoken. The truth is, Pisces do not resist words out of laziness. They resist because words distort. A Pisces knows when a yes feels like a betrayal, even if it sounds polite. They know when "I love you" becomes hollow from repetition. For them, authenticity matters more than verbal ritual. A strong Pisces learns to bridge this gap, to use words when needed, without letting them dilute the truth. They discover that silence and speech can coexist, that sometimes the act of naming a feeling can help it grow, rather than diminish. But still, they will always prefer presence over promises, energy over explanations. Being with Pisces teaches you this lesson: to listen not only with your ears, but with your heart. To understand that the most powerful connections cannot be explained. They can only be felt. In the end, Pisces remind us that words are only maps, never the territory. The ocean cannot be contained in a phrase. Love cannot be measured in syllables. And the soul, in all its mystery, speaks a language beyond sound. To hear it, you must step into silence. Part 7. Silence as protest. For most people, protest means raising one's voice, demanding to be heard, making noise against injustice. For Pisces, however, protest often takes a different form. Their protest is silence. It is not the silence of passivity or indifference, but the silence of refusal, a way of stepping back from what hurts them, from what feels false, or from what is simply too heavy to bear. Pisces are not built for confrontation. Their nature is fluid, sensitive, and receptive. Arguments, fights, and harsh words cut them deeply, as if sharp rocks were thrown into their waters. So instead of clashing, Pisces retreat. They withdraw into silence. This silence is not emptiness. It is a shield, a quiet but powerful no spoken without sound. When Pisces go silent, they are not always seeking to avoid others. Often they are protecting themselves. They know that if they speak in anger, their words may wound more than they intend. And if they try to explain themselves to someone unwilling to listen, they will be drained of energy. So they choose stillness. In their silence, they reclaim their strength. But this silence is also communication. It is their way of saying, "You hurt me," or "I will not play this game," or simply, "This situation no longer deserves my energy." Those who are attuned to Pisces will hear this message clearly, even without words. Those who are not attuned may find themselves frustrated, confused, even abandoned, not realizing that the silence was the message all along. In relationships, this can feel like disappearance. Pisces may withdraw suddenly, fading from contact without explanation. To the other person, it might look like vanishing. To Pisces, it feels like survival. When their boundaries have been crossed, when their souls feel misunderstood, silence becomes their only safe place. They slip beneath the surface, back into the depths where no one can follow unless truly invited. Yet this quiet protest has another layer. It is a mirror. In their silence, Pisces reflect the other person's actions. If someone is careless, manipulative, or unkind, the silence of Pisces throws that behavior back at them. Suddenly, the noise of conflict stops, and what remains is the echo of one's own choices. For those who are willing to listen, this mirror can be transformational. Still, silence as protest carries risks. Because Pisces do not explain, others may never understand the depth of their pain. They may mistake withdrawal for weakness, when in reality it is strength. They may think Pisces don't care, when in truth, they care so much that they cannot endure the wound any longer. The world often misunderstands quiet souls, interpreting their stillness as emptiness instead of resistance. A mature Pisces learns to balance this. They discover that while silence can be powerful, words are sometimes necessary to protect themselves and to build healthy relationships. Not everyone can read silence. Not everyone can decode the subtle signals. So Pisces learn to choose when to stay silent as a form of protest, and when to speak to ensure they are not erased. But even then, silence will always remain one of their strongest tools. It is the pause that reveals truth. It is the space where illusions dissolve. It is the protest that requires no explanation, because it speaks directly to the soul. In a noisy world that equates volume with strength, Pisces remind us that there is another kind of power, the power of withholding, of stepping back, of refusing to participate in chaos. Their silence is not emptiness. It is a statement. It is a protest. And sometimes, it is the only protest that truly changes anything. Part 8. Not heard. Not meant for you. Pisces are among the most intuitive souls of the zodiac. They sense emotions before they are spoken, they read silences as easily as words, and they often whisper truths that others overlook. Yet, paradoxically, Pisces are also the ones most often unheard. Their voices are soft, their language indirect, their feelings woven between lines instead of shouted from rooftops. And so, in a world that often values loudness over depth, Pisces can feel invisible. But here lies a secret strength. Pisces slowly learn that if their words, feelings, or truths are not received, then perhaps they were never meant for that person to begin with. If someone cannot hear them, cannot truly receive their soul, then that person was not meant to hold space for them. Not heard, not meant for you, becomes a quiet mantra of survival and self-worth. For much of their lives, Pisces try to explain themselves. They bend their voice into shapes others might understand. They translate their ocean into simple drops of water, hoping someone will taste and finally know. They repeat themselves softly, again and again, thinking maybe this time someone will listen. And when they are still misunderstood, they carry the heavy ache of being unseen. But with time, Pisces begin to shift. They realize that being unheard does not mean being unworthy. That silence in response is not a judgment of their value, but rather a revelation of the listener's capacity. If someone cannot hear them, it says nothing about Pisces, and everything about the other. This is liberation. Because Pisces feel deeply, they often choose relationships, friendships, and bonds based on emotional resonance. If that resonance is absent, the connection becomes hollow. Words fall flat, emotions echo unanswered, and the soul of Pisces begins to ache. But when they finally embrace the truth, not every person is capable of hearing you, they stop begging for recognition. They stop lowering their voice, stop twisting themselves to fit into ears that were never meant to understand them. In love, this realization is especially powerful. Pisces can love endlessly, forgive endlessly, give endlessly. But even their ocean has limits. When they see that their love is not received, not valued, not truly felt, they know it is time to release. To let the tide carry them somewhere else, where their voice is not only heard but cherished. Not heard, not meant for you, also becomes a spiritual compass. Pisces are deeply connected to the unseen, to dreams, intuition, and the subtle currents of fate. They begin to trust that life itself redirects them. If one person cannot receive their truth, perhaps it is because they are meant to share it with another. If one door closes in silence, another will open with understanding. This lesson does not come easily. To feel unheard is to feel erased. For Pisces, who live through connection, it can feel like drowning. But once they accept this truth, they no longer beg for space at tables that were never set for them. They walk away, softly but firmly, carrying their depth intact. And here lies the paradox. When Pisces stop demanding to be heard, they are finally heard. When they stop explaining, stop pleading, and simply live their truth, others begin to notice. The quiet, radiant authenticity of Pisces speaks louder than explanations ever could. Not everyone will hear them. Not everyone is meant to. And that is not failure. That is fate. Pisces remind us that our voices are not for everyone. Our souls are not for everyone. And when we are not heard, it may be the universe whispering, "They are not your people." Somewhere else, someone is waiting, ready to listen, ready to receive the ocean in its full, unbroken depth. And when Pisces find that, when they are finally heard, they know they are home. Part 9. Too many feelings. Too few forms. Pisces live in a sea of emotions. For them, feelings are not fleeting clouds that pass by, but entire worlds, tides, and storms that exist within their bodies. They feel more in a single glance, a single silence, than others may feel in years. Their hearts are tuned to subtle frequencies most people will never notice. The hesitation in a breath, the sadness hiding behind a smile, the longing woven into casual words. Pisces do not just perceive emotions. They absorb them. And yet, this endless depth of sensation brings its own pain. There are too many feelings, but too few forms to express them. Words often feel inadequate, too small to carry the vastness of what Pisces experience. A sentence cannot hold the whole ocean. A conversation cannot contain the tidal wave inside their chest. And so, they live with an inner overflow. Emotions that cannot be fully named, stories that cannot be fully told. This is why many Pisces turn to art, music, poetry, or spiritual practice. Through painting, they can give color to their silence. Through melody, they can release what words could never touch. Through movement, they let their souls flow without limits. Pisces need alternative languages, because the ordinary ones fracture under the weight of their inner worlds. Imagine trying to describe the ocean with only one glass of water. That is how Pisces feel when they try to speak. They can offer you a glimpse, but the true depth remains untranslatable. In relationships, this becomes both a gift and a challenge. Pisces can love in ways that feel infinite, but explaining that love is nearly impossible. They do not simply say, "I love you." They love in sighs, in silent gestures, in the way they remember your smallest details. They love in the way they stand by you when words fail. Their love is cosmic, but because it is not always spoken, it can be overlooked. Partners may long for verbal reassurance, while Pisces silently pour oceans into every touch and glance. This difficulty of expression often makes Pisces feel misunderstood. They are overflowing with depth but struggle to bring it into form. They may write poems no one reads, paint pictures no one understands, or cry for reasons they cannot explain. It is not that they do not want to share, it is that reality offers too few containers for what they hold inside. And yet, this is also their magic. Pisces teach us that not all truths can be spoken. Some must be felt. Some must be lived. Their presence itself becomes a form of expression. You may sit with a Pisces in silence and still know more about their heart than hours of conversation could reveal. For Pisces themselves, the path of strength lies in accepting this limitation as a gift. They do not need to force themselves into rigid boxes of logic or language. They are meant to flow differently. Their creativity, their intuition, their spirituality. These are not escapes, but essential outlets. By honoring them, Pisces learn to give their ocean room to breathe. They may never fully translate their inner world into words. But perhaps that is not the point. The point is to live it, to embody it, to let it move through them in ways that touch others beyond explanation. Because in the end, feelings are not always meant to be explained. They are meant to be felt. And Pisces, with their endless depth, remind the world that sometimes silence, art, or a single tear carries more truth than 1,000 words ever could. Part 10. And if they speak. For so long, Pisces live in silence. They feel more than they say, dream more than they explain, and carry worlds inside that never reach the surface. Most of their truths remain unspoken, flowing quietly beneath the rhythm of daily life. But imagine, just for a moment, what happens if Pisces truly speak. If the veil is lifted, if the ocean within them finds a voice. It is not an ordinary speech. It is not chatter, not small talk, not explanations for the sake of logic. When Pisces speak from the soul, it is like the opening of a floodgate. Words tumble out like water long held back, shimmering, heavy, unstoppable. They do not simply tell stories. They reveal. And what they reveal often has the power to shake the listener, because it carries raw truth, stripped of pretense. Their voice can feel like prophecy. They speak not only of what is, but of what is hidden, of what is coming, of what others fear to admit. It is not uncommon for Pisces to say something in a moment of openness that feels like it came from another realm. An intuition so precise, a truth so sharp, that it leaves silence in its wake. But this is why Pisces rarely open that door. To speak from their depth is risky. It leaves them exposed. It requires courage, because not everyone can handle the weight of what they carry. When Pisces reveal their ocean, some people turn away. Too frightened, too impatient, too unwilling to hold such depth. This rejection hurts deeply, and so many Pisces learn to retreat into quiet again. And yet, when they do find the right listener, someone who does not run, someone who welcomes the ocean, their words become a gift beyond measure. They can heal, inspire, awaken. A single conversation with an open-hearted Pisces can shift the way someone sees themselves, or even the world. If Pisces speak, they give shape to the unspeakable. They make the invisible visible. Their words are not mere communication. They are transmission. They carry the rhythm of water, the honesty of tears, the softness of compassion. They remind us of everything that cannot be reduced to logic. Longing, love, sorrow, faith. And still, there is danger in underestimating this voice. Because Pisces are often quiet, people assume they are harmless, passive, or naive. But when they finally choose to speak, when they step into their full truth, their words can cut sharper than steel. They see through masks, illusions, pretenses. They do not attack, but they reveal. And sometimes, revelation itself is more powerful than any weapon. To love a Pisces is to understand this delicate balance. Their silence is not emptiness, and their words are never casual. If they open up, it means you are trusted, it means you are seen as safe enough to hold their ocean. To betray that trust is to lose something rare and irreplaceable. And so, if Pisces speak, listen. Listen with all of yourself. Because it may not happen again, and because what they share is not just about them. It is about you, about the bond, about the truth that exists between souls. Their words are an offering, a glimpse into eternity, spoken in a language you may never hear twice. Pisces remind us that silence and speech are both sacred. Silence holds the mystery. Speech carries the revelation. And when they finally choose to let the ocean speak through them, the world is never quite the same. The ocean has no end. Pisces are not the kind of sign that can be reduced to simple definitions, nor are they people who can ever be fully figured out. They are the end of the zodiac, yes, but they are also its threshold into something larger, something that cannot be contained by time or structure. The 12th sign is both conclusion and continuation, a closing of one circle and the invisible opening of another. Pisces remind us that life is not only about reaching destinations but about dissolving into currents greater than ourselves. To speak of Pisces is to speak of paradox. They are soft, yet unshakable. They are vulnerable, yet capable of carrying unbearable burdens. They are dreamers, yet their intuition often sees more truth than reason ever could. They live between worlds, the material and the spiritual, the spoken and the silent, the seen and the unseen. To know a Pisces is to witness someone embodying the ocean, impossible to measure, yet undeniable in presence. All throughout this journey, we have seen how Pisces feel more than they say, how they often carry silence as language, and how their empathy makes them both healers and, at times, martyrs. Their ability to dissolve into another person's pain, to mirror what others cannot face, is not weakness. It is a sacred gift, though it costs them much. Pisces are not here to be pragmatic survivors. They are here to remind the rest of us of what lies beyond survival. They teach us the value of depth, of surrender, of compassion that does not calculate what it receives in return. And yet, the lesson of Pisces is not only in their sacrifice. It is also in their strength, a strength invisible to those who mistake softness for fragility. Pisces survive storms not by resisting them, but by flowing with them. They do not always fight waves. They become them. Where others harden, they remain fluid. And in that fluidity lies their power. Pisces are the echo of all signs before them, the synthesis of experiences, emotions, and lessons gathered along the zodiac wheel. They carry fragments of Aries' fire, Taurus' grounding, Gemini's curiosity, Cancer's nurturing, Leo's radiance, Virgo's discernment, Libra's harmony, Scorpio's depth, Sagittarius vision, Capricorn's perseverance, Aquarius detachment. But in Pisces, all these fragments melt together, softened, blurred, turned into something more than the sum of its parts. They are the memory of the whole. This is why they are often misunderstood. How do you explain someone who feels ancient but appears fragile, who seems to live in dreams yet often sees the truth most clearly? How do you grasp a person who can be both healer and wanderer, saint and escape artist, infinite ocean and fragile shell? To love Pisces is to stop trying to define them and instead to allow yourself to experience them, as you would experience the sea. Pisces remind us that love without conditions is possible, but they also show us the cost of such love. They remind us that silence can be language, but they also warn us of how easily silence can become isolation. They embody empathy so profound that it erases the lines between self and other, yet they must also learn, painfully again and again, that without boundaries they disappear. In their contradictions lies their beauty. And so, what remains as the final truth of Pisces? That there is no final truth. Pisces is not an ending but a horizon, something you approach but never fully reach. They are the sign of dissolution, but also of transcendence. They teach us that to be human is not only to build walls, fight battles, and prove strength, but also to surrender, to feel, to forgive, to let go, and to trust the invisible currents that carry us where logic cannot. The ocean of Pisces has no end. Its tides continue beyond what we see. When you meet a Pisces soul, you are touching not only a person but also a reflection of eternity. They are both fragile flesh and infinite water, both wound and healing, both silence and song. And maybe that is why Pisces are the most mysterious sign of the zodiac, because they are the reminder that we, too, are more than what we seem, that beneath our identities, our roles, our words, we are all part of the same sea. So the next time you stand before the vastness of the ocean, quiet, endless, shimmering under moonlight, know that you are looking into the heart of Pisces, and know that, like the ocean, they cannot be possessed, only experienced. They cannot be defined, only felt. The ocean has no end, and neither does the soul of Pisces.